Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Live here on SABC2. It's a special broadcast. It's a TNA breakfast show in collaboration with SABC. We're talking to the Minister of Mineral Resources, his DG and his Deputy Director General. Like I promised, I said that we're going to take questions from the floor. I would like the microphone to move to table 5. Table 5, we have Lucas Piri, just to hear his question.
Thank you, Palesa, and good morning, everybody. I think my question, I'm Lucas from the National Union of Mine Workers. My question relates to the industry or the commitment or what one could say the mining industry doesn't do their responsibility in terms of providing housing for the employees who happen to be working for the mining contractors. And it is our view that the license holder of the mine should actually be relating to the mining company. But as such, when the contractors are employed in the mining industry, they are not being provided with housing. And when you confront the situation, the company, which is the license holder, confirm that it's not their responsibility. And then the contractors, we don't understand the terms and conditions that are entered between the contractor and the mining house. Then that becomes a burning and a critical issue. That is why you'll find most of the mining, overcrowded with people who doesn't have accommodations, but are expected to appear at work almost every day.
If you can just pass the microphone to Lutando on the very same table 5.
Thank you.
Morning, Minister, and morning, colleagues. I think a comment quickly before asking the question. I think the first one is that I think government needs to be clear that Section 100 of the MPRDA clearly says the minister must develop the charter. Now, there's this narrative that is generated from industry and media that government did not sufficiently consult. We were called by the department with the Chamber of Mines, and we were consulted. And there's a consultation process after gazetting. I think that's an important process to deal with. The second one, I think it is a comment that could be misinterpreted that the minister made. And industry is persistent in saying that when there is a fatality on the mine, it is the fault of the employee. And I think we need to reiterate the responsibility of the mining right holder to ensure there is a safe and conducive workplace within the industry. And this is narrated every time industry stands up, it will complain about Section 54 of the Mine Health and Safety Act. And we always say, with the number of deaths or fatalities in the industry, we cannot say the industry is overregulated. But quickly to one question that I think is important in terms of the mining charter, Minister. We are not seeing strong enforcement for those that are non-compliant with the current charter of the 2014 targets, especially ever since the release of last year's mining charter assessment by the department. I think that's an important aspect because the charter or the department is seen to not be implementing or enforcing regulatory instrument which is within law. And that should be compounded with the fact that companies or industry needs to comply with this law.
I think we've got it, Lutando. We're going to have to leave it right there. Minister, you can start by responding to Lutando.
Well, the first question that the DG will respond to, but the second question, we want to welcome the assertion of consultation. We have issued more than 300 orders for the mining houses to start complying. The question is valid. There has not been sufficient compliance. We have seen that. We are engaging the mining houses to comply. They are coming back. They are responding. And I'm sure, as you will know, that is what has actually, amongst other issues, triggered the issue that is we are debating and is in court, which we believe will be able to sort it out because we agree to engage and ensure that people comply moving forward.
DG?
Thank you, Palesa. We fully agree with the issue that has been raised concerning the contractors. In terms of the law, the contractor employees are still the mine employees. And all the provisions of the law regarding employees have to be followed by the mining sector, including the implementation of the mining charter. Because the mining charter also propagates that there must be decent living conditions for the workers, including contractors. We've also been concerned with some of the conditions of the hostels that the workers and also the contractors have been living under. So as a department, we'll continue, as Minister clearly indicated, that issuing notices to ensure that there's improvement on that. But I must also add that through the special presidential package, we work together with the other departments and the stakeholders to make sure that there's improvement, not only with the living conditions, but also the working conditions of the workers.
DDG, I do know, I think it's a year back, President Zuma during his State of the Nation address was saying that the areas where the mines are operating must be rehabilitated, and in that period is raising an important issue of housing in such areas.
Yes. Look, you've got to look at rehabilitation in two parts. Before the dawn of democracy, environment was not properly legislated. And so from over 100 years of mining up to that time, there had been very poor levels of environmental rehabilitation. And so the democratic government inherited a huge legacy of unrehabilitated mines. And as far as it is possible, there is programs that we have put in place to rehabilitate, not only incur a state that liability, but we are finding mechanisms for all of us to contribute towards giving effect to the aspirations of Section 24 of the Constitution. But in terms of the existing mines, the active mines, those are regulated. They are very well regulated in terms of environmental rehabilitation. But I think in terms of the contractors, the DG has dealt with it very well, that in terms of the law does not make a distinction between a contractor and a full-time employee. If you work in the mines, you are seen as an employee of the mine. That the right holder has made an extension in terms of arrangement to have contractors on site does not preclude them from being compliant with the prescriptions.
All right, let's go back to the floor. Table 1, Paul.
Thank you very much, Palesa. Good morning, Minister and honourable guests, everybody else. I'm Paul Marden from Solidarity. I'm a Labour representative on the Mine Health and Safety Council board. And I think in all fairness, my question pertains to, or goes to Mr. Msiza. A concern, we've started talking this morning about health and safety in mining and the good progress that's been made. And now the last question also alluded to environmental protection, which is very important. My concern is paragraph 2.8 of the mining charter, the old one, has been removed from the new concept mining charter. And it deals specifically with environmental management plans, but more important to us as well, it deals with health and safety. Specifically the Summit Action Plan and the Culture Transformation Framework, which is extremely important. We can have procedures and safe mechanisms, safe instruments and tools, but if we don't change the culture and the way people act and think, then we will lose the battle, the health and safety battle. These mechanisms have been taken out of the mining charter, and our concern is now there's no legislative mechanism to implement the Summit Action Plan and the Culture Transformation Framework. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paul. It goes to you, Dept. Msiza.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. As Minister and Minister has clearly indicated, I think the consultation process has begun in terms of the proposed mining charter, and I think these are the inputs that we really value, and we feel that we'll have to work together in terms of how we strengthen the charter. But it's also important that to highlight the fact that with the mining charter, the main emphasis has been and always will be meaningful transformation in the sector. I think that has been the approach by the department in collaboration with the other stakeholders. Now, with health and safety, we believe that the provisions of the law, as Mr. Brook has clearly indicated earlier on, in terms of Section 54, they are well covered in terms of that. And also the issue of the Mine Health and Safety Summit. We hold the Mine Health and Safety Summit every second year in terms of the law to engage on the health and safety issues, the progress, and what more can we do in terms of that. But I think these are the inputs that we can engage on moving forward on how the stakeholders see us moving forward and strengthening the charter.
Well, DDG, you wanted to come in quickly? Just a quick one there?
Sure. I think, Mr. Madden, of course, with the window of opportunity open for submission, Solidarity, you're more than welcome to make your representation. However, I felt it compelling to explain why we had introduced that element in 2010 under the auspices of sustainable development for both health and safety and environment. The intention was not really to provide legislative basis on which to regulate aspects of health and safety, nor environment, other than to recognize the efforts that are put in place. But on having implemented this for 5 years, we're realizing that perhaps there is overlap of regulatory requirements, and it is therefore necessitating that we reconsider inclusion. But we are more than happy to engage with the stakeholders who are concerned about it.
And I do know that, Minister, you do have a summit soon, the Health and Safety Summit. Tell us about it.
Well, the Health and Safety Summit is by and large going to look back and say, what progress have we made? Since we started holding these summits, we are happy to say to the people of South Africa, we have been able to reduce the fatality in mines by 73%. We can now compare favorably with countries like Australia, Canada, to mention but a few in terms of our health, our safety standards. We continue to move towards the zero harm. And as we shall be meeting, we will be calling all our stakeholders to put our heads together and say, this is what we have achieved, and what do we envisage moving forward to ensure that every worker in South Africa return home safe from work and can be able to repeat their stories when they are old enough, like in other sectors.
Mm-hmm. But these summits, are they just talk shows? Or do we really see the benefits of such engagements?
We see the benefits, as I've mentioned a few. After this show, we shall be going to one of the deepest mines in South Africa, Tautona, where Mr. Venkat is a CEO, to ensure that we go on site ourselves. Do not remain in our offices, and we get reports and we can't validate them. The summit helps us to say, we have seen the work, we are happy, you are not complying here and there, and what can be done moving forward. So we are moving, we're not making talk shows. In fact, you will find us on the ground, you will find us underground with workers, you will find us drilling, ensuring that we know the pain that our workers go through as they are underground, and begin to gauge in terms of the standards as we compare favorably, what do we do to make South Africa the safest mining industry in the world?
Well, we're taking a break. When we come back, we go to the floors. Stay tuned.